In Hamilton official plan, proposed settlement of the appeals of Flamborough Power Center Inc., Flamborough South Center Inc., and Clapperson 5-6 Properties Inc. of the Urban Hamilton official plan and legal direction is pulled from the agenda and will be included on the next committee meeting.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. And may I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Councillor Brenda Johnson and Councillor Conley, all in favor? That is carried. And before we start this morning, ladies and gentlemen and councillors, I would like to just recognize that we lost one of our own employees over this past weekend, very tragically. Ryan Powerless was killed in a head-on crash caused by a drunk driver. It was very tragic, very needless. And, you know, our general manager of planning is actually with all the employees. Ryan worked in bylaw, and bylaw staff, MLE, that whole division, all of us have been very much affected by this and very saddened to lose one of our own. So we are down a little in staff this morning, but we do have grief counselors there as well who will be working with our staff. And I'd just like you to join me in prayer and keeping Ryan's family and his co-workers and his friends in our thoughts. Thank you. Are there any declarations of interest? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve the May 5th minutes? And they would not be as amended, but just as they are. Aidan Johnson, please, and Councillor Farr. All in favor? That is carried. Now we'll move on to delegation requests. We don't have any delegation requests. Our consent items this morning, committee, we have consent items 5.1 to 5.2 before you. May I have a motion to receive 5.1 and approve item 5.2. Councillor Brenda Johnson, on which one, please?
Thank you for 5.1.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Through you to Marty. And again, Marty, our condolences. It must be really rough right now. You wrote a report about the business licensing audit review, and my understanding was that this audit review was because at that time the City of Hamilton staff were under the idea that there was at least 700 businesses that were unlicensed. My understanding is the audit came back, and in fact there was 27 locations at the end of the day. So right now you're asking for a full-time person. And just backtrack a little bit, the 27 locations actually transforms into $3,600 in lost revenues, not the hundreds of thousands that we had thought. So now we're asking for an FTE at $113,000 for cost of an officer and the office, the whole bit. Can you help me to understand why we're going to spend $113,000 to offset $3,600?
Ken, go ahead, please.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. The actual report where the officer was brought back from parking was to work on the audit, but also to proactively identify other potential unlicensed businesses. Just for an overview, there's about 8,500 business licenses in Hamilton, and out of that 8,500, 2,000 are actually considered mobile licenses, and that's made up of 1,200 taxi drivers, about 450 taxi plates, 310 lease agreements, 130 food trucks, 40 limos, and about 75 adult entertainment and body rub attendants. There has been very little focused on this specific group. After the officer finished the audit, we had him look at the proactive part of the original report to see what else was out there. And the officer has completed over 700 inspections himself on taxis and overhead signs. He's inspected 144 premises, and out of that, 25% were actually found to be unlicensed. Done over 100 businesses for the sign bylaw, 300 taxi inspections, and in new revenue so far, the officer has found about $30,000 of new revenue from additional signs and unlicensed businesses. The decision to keep this position was based on public safety and consumer protection, feeling that the use of an officer from parking, so there was no additional levy cost because this person actually came from parking, and so we actually decided to keep this officer because we figured we believe there's more work that can be done in licensing than in parking. Now, you saw the $113,000 actual cost, because that would be the question. That's the money that the officer would normally generate if he was in parking. And so there's going to be an additional work that's going to be placed in licensing to make up that revenue. But this year, we're also doing the actual fees analysis, how much it actually costs to license people, and we're going to include that cost in that fee. So right now, although it looks like there's $113,000 of lost revenue, because that's what a parking officer would traditionally generate, but we believe that it's more important at this time to have that person continue to work in licensing. Hopefully that explains, Madam Chair.
Councillor?
Yep, thank you. And Ken, just through you, Chair, just to clarify, we thought there were 700 illegal businesses, but after the audit, how many did you say that we found out was actually illegal business, or people that were not licensed or did not have permits?
Out of the original audit report identified 700 potential, and so we needed an officer to review every one of those. There was only 27 out of that group that were not licensed, and we're working towards that. But one of the jobs we also do is proactively look at other data sources and the phone book and other licensing areas such as fire and health to see if there's businesses that are operating that don't have a business license. And that's what the proactive work that this officer is currently doing.
Okay, thank you, Ken. And I don't want to belabor this because $113,000 to me is especially when I don't see where it's going to be cost effective. Usually with bylaw parking, we offset the salaries from the revenue. And in this case, I'm looking at $3,613 lost revenue that we could gather, and that's a far cry. Are you seeing this being cost recovery at the end of the day, or how do you justify?
Yes.
Ken, is this cost recovery?
We believe that it will be eventually. Again, this is an information report. As you see, it's not asking for an additional FD off the levy, but we feel it's more cost effective in relation to public safety than having another officer giving out parking tickets.
Okay, thank you. And fire and health you mentioned earlier, is that not their purview to go in and take a look at the businesses and see whether or not that there's health and safety issues involved?
Ken?
Through you, Madam Chair, we use their data to compare to see if these businesses are operating without a license. That was the original audit. They looked at health, They looked at fire, and they said our lists don't compare. And so we currently are using other data sources such as the internet and health and seeing what licenses are out there. We've identified well, as this report has said, 144 businesses that we've since inspected, and 25% of those are operating without licenses. So there are businesses that are operating without licenses out there, and we need that proactive work. The other thing I wanted to address, the fact that this officer has been able to proactively do that has allowed the other officers that were busy doing other calls now to do proactive work. And so the entire team is focused in on the proactive work, making sure the businesses that are operating in the city of Hamilton are licensed.
All right, thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Ken.
Councillor?
Through you, Chair, one last question, please. This came back after a year to realize what the audit and what the results are. Are we also going to be doing this now, the second phase of this project? Are you coming back in a year to let us know that in fact the $113,000 was a good investment? This is what we found. Can we have an update in a year, please, about this position? And if so, if we find out that this position is not bringing in what we thought, just as the audit didn't, we have the opportunity to shift the person back into the former position.
Well, Councillor, this is an information report, so I may encourage you to move a motion on that if you want to.
Okay.
But we'll hear from Ken first of all.
Thank you.
Yes, you, Madam Chair. One of the projects that is required this year is to do an entire review of business licensing fees. And in that process, you include all your costs and develop all your costs in relation to your expenditures. And I believe that certainly from my preliminary look at it, that the numbers are going to equal out, and so including this additional officer. But back to your point, if in fact we found that the officer was not cost effective, was not focused in on the public safety and the best interest of the city, then we would certainly send the person back to parking.
Okay, thank you. And at the appropriate time, I'd like to move that the staff come back with a report in a year's time.
You can do that now, Councillor.
Thank you.
Yeah,
so I'd
absolutely.
like to make a motion, please, that the staff come back in a year's time regarding this business licensing audit review update in another year to address the full-time person, the FTE, and the measures, in my opinion, would be whether or not that the illegal businesses were at the amount that you thought, that the revenue that's coming in, whether it be proactive or not, still the revenues coming in would offset the FTE's position. So I'll move it if I can get a seconder.
Yeah, and I think Councillor Green would like to second that as well, and that way it won't get buried within the overall review, so this will be extrapolated out. The attention will be put on this one in particular, so I think
Thank you,
that's...
and thank you, Ken, for your interest.
Yeah, good answer. So all in favor of that motion? That is carried. Thank you. And on item 5.2, we were going to approve item 5.2. Can I have a mover for that, please? Moved by Councillor Aidan Johnson, Councillor Rob Hasuda. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. On items 5.1 and 5.2. Now moving on to delegations and public hearings. 6.1 is the application for an amendment to the Town of Flamborough zoning bylaw number 90-145-Z for the lands located at 12 McDonald Court in Flamborough, Ward 15. I'll ask Councillor Johnson to take over the chair, please, because this is in my ward. Okay?
I got my thanks. Thank you, everyone. Members of the public, in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act, please be advised that if a person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the Council of the City of Hamilton before Council makes a decision regarding the zoning bylaw amendment, the person and or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the Council of the City of Hamilton to the Ontario Municipal Board, and the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the Ontario Municipal Board unless, in the opinion of the Board, there are reasonable grounds to do so. I need to first get a motion to receive the written comments from David and Jane Lee. Councillor Partridge, Councillor Green, all those in favor? Thank you. I'm just going to take a straw vote here. If there's anyone here from the public here to talk to this, we have 2, 3, thank you. So stay there, I'll call you down when it's time. So we'll move on. And first we'll get a staff presentation, and I invite Delia McPhail to come down, please. Morning, Delia.
I'm well, thank you.
Good.
Good morning, Madam Chair, councillors, members of the public and staff. This presentation is about a rezoning application concerning 12 McDonald Court in Flamborough. As you can see, the subject lands are located within Waterdown, the West End, and north of Dundas Street East, in an established neighborhood which was established in 1950. The purpose of this rezoning application is to facilitate a severance of the subject property into 2 unequally sized lots as shown on the concept plan. The associated consent application was tabled by the Committee of Adjustment in order to allow the zoning bylaw amendment process to take due course. This is an aerial view of the subject lands. It identifies the property boundaries of the subject lands, and it provides a visual representation of the established neighborhood patterns. This is a view of the subject lands, 12 McDonald Court. We're looking westward. The existing dwelling that was there has been moved to 10 McDonald Court. This is a view of the subject lands again. You can see in the background the existing detached garage, which remains on the lands. This image shows 10 McDonald Court, which is located to the south of the subject lands. As I said earlier, this dwelling you see here at 10 McDonald Court was the previous dwelling located at 12 McDonald Court. This is a view again of 10 McDonald Court. In the background on this image, you see 8 McDonald Court in the background. These lands are south of the subject property. This is an image of 12 McDonald Court. It's a single detached dwelling north of the subject property. 50 McDonald Court are the lands to the west. They front McDonald Court as well, because McDonald Court is like a cul-de-sac. And 52 McDonald Court, again, is west of the subject lands. This is an image from Scott Street. You can see the subject lands where the trailer is on your right-hand side of the image. To the left in the foreground is 13 McDonald Court, which is the lands to the east. This image shows the streetscape of McDonald Court and the location of the subject lands. The subject lands are on the left-hand side where the two vehicles and the trailer are parked. This is just further north on McDonald Court, not far from the subject lands. Scott Street is on your right-hand side, and this shows the streetscape north of Scott Street. Further north, again, we're looking towards the curve at McDonald Court. This is 15 McDonald Court on in the foreground, on the corner of McDonald Court and Scott Street. To your right, you see a property on Scott Street on the north side. These two properties at one point were a single lot and had gone through a severance. On the south side of Scott Street, you see this two lots. 13 McDonald Court is the one on the right, which is lands to the east of the subject property, and the property on the right-hand side is fronting Scott Street. Here's an example of some recent redevelopment on McDonald Court to the east and further north of the subject lands. 17 McDonald Court is this property. They had gone to a committee of adjustment for some variances concerning the lot coverage and the gross floor area. 24 McDonald Court was the most recent consent application on this street. It was brought to the planning committee about a year or so ago. The Ontario Municipal Board recently issued a decision that the severance of this lot, which is a corner lot, was not in keeping with the established neighborhood pattern and didn't represent good planning. So back to the location map. The Urban Hamilton official plan promotes intensification throughout the urban area. However, the official plan also contains strict criteria which requires careful consideration of any intensification proposals. The subject application is seeking the modification to reducing the minimum lot area of the lot, reducing the minimum lot frontage, and increasing the maximum lot coverage in both the retained and the severed lots, And in the case of the lands to be retained, the minimum northerly interior side lot line is being reduced. Staff has reviewed the application on the merits of the application, and staff is recommending the denial of the application based on the fact that the proposal represents an over-intensification of development within an established residential neighborhood that would detract from the residential character of that neighborhood, that the application does not comply with the Urban Hamilton official plan and that it's not compatible with the existing character of the neighborhood, and that the approval of the application would undermine the intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw and would encourage other similar applications. Thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Councillor Partridge and then myself. Councillor Partridge.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. Delia, good presentation. Thank you. And we've had a few severance applications come forward, as you indicated, and they've mostly been denied. How many letters of objection? We did receive one from Jane Lee, and we do have other residents here who would like to speak to it, but in total, how many letters opposing this were received from residents?
Okay. We received one letter during the pre-consultation of the application, one just recently. There was a petition that was submitted with 34 signatures of landowners on McDonald Court.
Okay, so I would say that the opposition is quite strong.
Through the chair to the councillor, yes, that is correct.
All right, and if I can, within the body of the report, there was reference to a ruling at the OMB that was, I believe, back in the 1990s. And what did the OMB rule that this particular neighborhood was to be referenced as? Do you have that? I believe the term was a unique neighborhood where the severances wouldn't fit with the type of design of that neighborhood. Is that correct?
Through the chair to the councillor, yes, that's correct. The OMB originally in 1995 had made the decision that the proposal of 3 lots in that case for 13 McDonald Court across the street did not maintain the character of the existing development and then didn't conform to the other policies of the official plan.
Okay, thank you. So when we have denied the severances, they have gone to the OMB, and they've also been ruled on at the OMB to be denied as well.
In that particular case.
In that particular case, yes. Okay, thank you. Those are my questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you, and Councillor Pearson's not with us right now, so I'm going to ask Councillor Johnson, if you don't mind taking the chair, please. Through you, Mr. Chair, when I look up, it looks like Groundhog Day. I think we dealt with 24 the last term, 24 McDonald Court. So just to refresh my memory, 8 and 10 McDonald Court, when were those two established?
In 2008, the Ontario Municipal Board granted that severance.
2008 established the 8 and 10. The 1990s denied Scott Street, 13 Scott Street, 3 properties, but gave them 2, correct?
Through the chair to the councillor, yes, that's correct.
And just recently, the OMB refused the 24 McDonald Court.
Through the chair to the councillor, yes.
Okay, so we've had a lot of OMB involvement in this. Okay, so we've got a denial at 24 McDonald Court. We have 2 lots that were given to Scott Street, 2 lots that were given to 8, 10, and 10. 12 looks to me it's not a corner lot.
Through the chair to the councillor, yes, that's correct.
Whereas 13 Scott and 8, 10, and 24 were. Would that pose a problem at the OMB?
Through the chair to the councillor, would the problem be with the fact that 12 McDonald Court is not a corner lot?
Right.
Through the chair to the councillor, yes, the 12 McDonald Court is an internal lot to the neighborhood, and it would create an undesirable precedent.
Okay, and thank you for your answers. I was, like I said, it felt like Groundhog Day. We were just here not too long ago. Thank you. I'll take the chair back, Councillor Johnson. Any other questions for Delia? Can I have a motion, please, to receive her presentation. Councillor Partridge, Councillor Conley, all those in favor? Thank you. I believe we have the homeowner in the, one of the owners that are in attendance, should the committee have any questions. So is it Dom and Chatty? Would you like to, I'm going to call down the public and I'll ask you to come down first, please. Thank you. If you have any handouts, sir, you can give them to Ida.
I do, yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll just wait a minute before they get distributed.
Sure.
We read fast, but not that quickly. Thank you, Ida. Thank you. Councillor Partridge?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Just a question on process, I guess. There's an awful lot of information here that we're just receiving. Is it, through you, Madam Chair, the intent of the presenter to take us through this document?
Yeah, that would be a good question. Sir?
Madam Chair and Councillors, my intention is more to highlight specific pieces of information, not the entire package itself, because I would assume that you are all well aware of the contents of the residential intensification guide already, because it is something that you deal with on a regular basis. There's just a few points that I would like to highlight from that, as well as some additional materials at the end.
Thank you. Can you move the microphone up to?
Sure.
You can bend it, do whatever. Thank you.
There we go.
So thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to clarify, though, that there's a lot of information here. Yes, we are well aware of the intensification guide, but I just appreciate the clarification. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Michael, you're on.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for your time today and allowing us to present our case. And I guess there's a few things I would like to start with to point out with the applications that have been already heard and the ones that have been approved that I am aware of. And also some of the timelines that we have been challenged with in our application because of the changeover from the provincial plan that we started this entire project under, which we are now falling under the Hamilton plan. So there's been a bit of a discrepancy for us, and because of the change in, I guess, the rules, as you would say, our understanding when we started this entire process, which is now over 3.5 years ago, we were starting out under the guidelines of the Ontario Provincial Plan for intensification, and the rules now are slightly different. And I think that's where we've been caught up a little bit in the changeover. That's my understanding anyways. If there's something that I'm missing here, then I would like to know more about that. But my understanding is the changeover occurred in about August of 2013, but we started this process with our severance application in January of 2013. So really, in our opinion, we started under a different set of guidelines, and I think, to be fair, it would be nice for us to be able to finish under that set of guidelines because that is how we started.
And we'll get that clarification.
Okay, thank you. One of the things that I would like to point out from the residential intensification guide is on page number 5. And it speaks to character of the neighborhood. Now, our application has not been supported by the city and the planning departments and other various departments because of what they call character of the neighborhood. Now, on page number 5 here, it talks about character of the neighborhood and some of the components that they use to measure against. Things like architecture, built form, lot frontage, streetscapes, and land uses. And McDonald Court is a unique court. My wife and I moved there in 2008 and fell in love with the area and the neighbors and the unique character of the neighborhood. And it's always been our intention to spend the rest of our lives living on McDonald Court and appreciate the character that that neighborhood has. And when we decided to do this venture of ours, it was to do something that would fit within the character of the neighborhood as much as we possibly could. Now, the plan that we submitted, I do admit that there are some things that do not comply with the R1-6 zoning, which is obvious. However, there are things that we do strongly feel comply with what would be the character of the neighborhood. The house that we had designed was very specifically crafted in such a way to fit with the character of the neighborhood. We were going to utilize similar architecture, similar landscaping, to do as much as we could to assure that the houses that were to be built would fit within the character of the neighborhood. We had no designs to build these large homes that are currently being built in other subdivisions today. We wanted something that was unique to fit. With respect to the lands that have already been approved for severance in the area, they are directly in contact with the lands at 12 McDonald Court. The approval at number 8 and 10 McDonald Court are directly adjacent to number 12 McDonald Court. Number 13 McDonald Court is directly across the street. Number 15 McDonald Court, which is recently approved as few as 3.5 years ago, is again directly across the street from number 12 McDonald Court. So again, from our perspective moving forward, when we decided to take this venture on, it made sense for us to proceed with this. We would not have invested 3.5 years of our time and tens of thousands of dollars into a project that didn't make sense and didn't fit with what we felt was the character of the neighborhood. And what we're looking at creating here at 12 McDonald Court are lots that are actually larger than the ones that have already been approved that are directly adjacent to ours as well as across the street. We're looking at creating lots that are 770 square meters approximately and 880 square meters approximately, whereas at 15 McDonald Court they are 650 square meters and also 650 square meters for the severed lot, which is much less than what we're looking to create. As well as next door at number 10 McDonald Court, 650 square meters again as well. So in our opinion, a precedent has been set on McDonald Court to allow severances and building lots created that are approximately 650 square meters, and we're looking to create something much larger than that. Another thing that I would like to point out is the actual plan that we had created and had approved to build on the lot as it sits today is in the package that I have here. And you can see it's a 1.5-story style home. And on McDonald Court, the majority of the homes are bungalows and side split homes. So again, what we're looking to create is something that is very much in keeping with the character of the neighborhood. One last thing that I would like to point out is the existing zoning for 12 McDonald Court, the R1-6 zoning, and I do have a copy of that in the package as well. It points out that, I believe it's the second last page from the end, that for a 1-story home, we are afforded to build 186 square meters, which is approximately 2,000 square feet of lot coverage, as well as building a 2-story home that is 372 square meters, which is approximately 4,000 square feet. As it stands today, I could go up to the building department with a set of plans and start construction next week on a 4,000 square foot 2-story home at number 12 McDonald Court and completely comply with the zoning. And in fact, almost every single lot on McDonald Court has that ability as well. My concern as being a resident of 12 McDonald Court is that this is going to start to happen as we see evidence already at number 17 McDonald Court. People are going to be coming in and knocking down houses and building very large homes on McDonald Court because they comply with the current zoning laws. In my opinion, that is not in keeping with the character of McDonald Court. I'd like to thank you for your time today, Madam Chair and Councillors. If you have any further questions.
Thank you. Councillor Partridge.
Yes, thank you, and thanks very much for coming in and doing your presentation. I just have a couple of questions, though. When you were referencing the design of the house on the page in front of us in this package, you mentioned that it was designed and approved. Approved by who?
We do have a building permit. Sorry, I'll back up a little bit. Because we had the house that was existing at number 12 McDonald Court,
right,
and we had purchased the lot at 10 McDonald Court to move the house from one lot to the other, we had to have a building permit in place at number 12 McDonald Court in order to demolish and remove the house and relocate it from number 12 to number 10. So we do actually have, or had, we just recently canceled the building permit for other reasons, but we did have a building permit in place a year and a half ago to build a 2,100 square foot, 1.5 story home that you see in that package today at number 12 McDonald Court.
Right, but that's not a severed lot. It's a different
Correct.
lot.
Yeah, that was on the entire lot.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So through you, you know, and I understand you're trying to compare apples to apples, but that's not what this is, because the lot, and you can't build that house without that lot being severed. And so, you know, I appreciate that you mentioned you could go to the building department and get permits right now to build that house, but not on those severed lots, because they haven't been severed yet. So that's what we're here to talk about today, is the severance, not the size of the home. It's the severance of the lots. So I just want to make sure that we're clear that that's really what we're talking about here today. All right?
Okay,
But thank you very much for coming in. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions for our speaker? Seeing none, may I have a motion? Thank you, Michael. Can I have a motion, please, to receive Michael's presentation, please? Councillor Partridge, Councillor Green, all those in favor? Thank you. Thank you, Michael.
I'd like to thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here from the public that would like to come down and speak? Sir, come on down. And I'm sorry, before we begin, Michael, did you sign in at the book when you were starting? And I should have reminded you that's my fault. So before you leave, could you sign in at the book? Before you leave, thank you. Sir, before you start, can you sign in at the book, if you don't mind? And Michael, Ida's going to come down and sign it after. I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Good morning, sir. Thank you for coming. You can adjust that microphone so we can all hear you. And if you don't mind just introducing yourself and where you live, please.
Okay, my name is Robert Potter, and I live at 21 McDonald Court.
Robert, living at 21 McDonald Court.
Pardon?
Your name is Robert, and you
Yes.
live at 21 McDonald Court. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Good morning, and I'm sorry for the loss of one of your staff.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Robert Potter, and I live in 21 McDonald Court. My wife and I are 50-year residents of the court, and we have had many problems over the years. One developer dewatering our wells and other people trying to split lots. The one lot, the beginning of it was at 13 McDonald Court when a resident wanted to put 3 lots on the house, and we offered to let him go with a single lot, 2 lots. But no, we went for a long time fighting over that one. We have never objected to any variance or split that had a positive effect on the character of the court, but have vigorously opposed others. This application is an open-ended split, with us not knowing what will be built, as well as what the applicant says at this meeting is not binding in any way. He gets the split, and we don't know what he does with the property after it's split. Our objection is enhanced by the fact that what he has previously done on moving a left-hand house onto a miniature right-hand lot that his renters have to park on his property as the driveway is so small. We have no on-street parking in McDonald Court. Another house coming before the OMB, which we've mentioned earlier, by a non-resident owner here in the court, calls his backyard a vacant lot. I have a vacant lot. It's called my backyard. That property has been turned down 3 times for splitting, and I think it's still going before the OMB. All of you councillors, please put yourself in our position. What would you do if a neighbor wanted to split on your street without you knowing what was to be built, and especially with a zoning change? McDonald Court was named by a judge in 1994 as a unique community of homes, and that we want to keep it just that way. Over-intensification is not needed here in the court. These are our homes, our biggest investment, not to be played with as the stock market to make money. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Robert. Before you go, is there any questions for Robert, please? Robert, do you mind coming back just for a minute to the microphone? We have a question from your councillor. Councillor Partridge.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And Robert, I really appreciate you coming down. Thank you. We mentioned earlier that at the OMB there had been a ruling about the neighborhood being of unique character.
Yes.
Can you just expand a little bit on that for me? I'm assuming you would agree with that statement.
Yeah, in 1994, when we went to the OMB for 13 McDonald Court, it was quite an extensive length of time. And we went through the old system that we had here of the severance committee and whatever. It was different than it is now. Anyway, a judge was from the OMB. She came in, and before the thing, she drove through the court. And she described, I can't even remember her name, and I looked up the thing, and she said in a statement that it was a unique community of homes in a sea of houses. That's, and she called it a unique community. And that goes back to 1994. And the people at the old style committee, the couple sat in the committee. I was there present, and the woman cried elephant tears about she wanted only what the people in McDonald Court had. The minute she got their severance, they sold the lot and were never seen again in McDonald Court. So it's not binding, like what she said, that she wanted to build a house and everything else. It wasn't that. It was just, they were living in the States at the time, as a matter of fact, so.
Thank you, Councillor.
Yeah, and thank you, Madam Chair. Robert, thank you. I've talked to several of your neighbors, and, certainly we have a petition that was submitted with over 35 names.
It was.
And I will say the people who live there, they're very, very passionate about their unique community. I've been in there several times, and it really is. They're lovely older homes. They're lovely lots. They're not all the same size.
No.
And so to try and sever some of those lots, that would be a challenge because you'd end up with 2 small lots.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, she was the one that instated the 60-foot. I have a condo. He's always after me for land so he can get the 60 feet. So to do it, right? But it was her that did that. So.
Thank you, Councillor Partridge.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Chair. Those are all my questions. And Robert, thank you again to you and your wife and neighbor for coming in.
Are there any other questions for Robert? Seeing none, thank you very much, Robert, for taking the time to come. Can I have a motion, please, to receive Robert's presentation? Councillor Green, Councillor Conley, all those in favour? Thank you. And I'm going to invite members of the public. Any other members of the public that would like to speak? Come on down, ma'am. Are there anyone else here that would like to speak to this application? Okay, so we'll think this is our last one. Good morning. You can sign the book afterwards. If you can just introduce yourself, please.
Good morning. My name is Jan Lauren. I live at 48 McDonald Court. So I'm on the back side of this lot that's proposed to be severed.
Thank you. And your first name?
Janice.
Yes, thank you,
Lauren.
Janice.
I go by Jan.
Sorry?
I said I just go by Jan, but Janice is
Jan? Okay, thank you.
my correct name. I just want to reiterate what Bob said. 30 years ago, I moved into McDonald Court. I needed a home, and I found one there. What I want is to preserve that uniqueness, that character, for myself and for my neighbors. We live in a fenceless community, primarily. We cut each other's lawns. We overlap. We use each other's lawns for certain events. We borrow each other's furniture. We're a very, very close-knit community. And we appreciate that neighborhood with a non-fence issue. We don't have 6-foot fences between us. If this happens, a fence will go up. I think that's a guarantee. I guess it comes down to need and want. It's a catchphrase these days. I'm retired, so my needs and my wants are on a fixed income. What I guess my question to you is, do you need this? And do you want it to happen? Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Are there any questions for the... Thank you. We'll just wait for Jan to sign in. Jan, do you just want to wait a second, please? Your councillor has some questions for you. Councillor Partridge.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Jan. I appreciate you coming down. I just have one question. I mean, your neighborhood is lovely, and it is a very tight-knit community, as you've said. Is there been a large turnover in homes? You've been there 30 years, and I know Robert's been there almost 50 years. Is it an area where there's a high turnover of homes?
Right now, there's a few homes for sale in the area. What happens is that I know for a fact that people have moved away and come back, partly because of the neighborhood, partly because of the lot size, partly because of the home. We don't have big homes, but we maintain them. We love our homes. Friends of ours waited 10 years for a lot to come up on McDonald Court that they could buy it. They now live down the street from us. 2 houses down, they waited 7 years for a lot to come up on McDonald Court to move there. People have seen it in the neighborhood, they appreciate it, and that's where they want to settle. And that's what they realize, that our community is unique with our lot sizes and our homes, and people come back, like I said, again, actually one couple moved away 3 times and came back 3 times. Another couple that we know wishes they had never sold on McDonald Court. So that says a lot for our community and our presence in Waterdale.
Okay, thank
you. Partridge, sorry.
Yes, thank you, Jan, and thank you, Madam Chair. That's my only question.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Jan, for coming down. Any other questions? Seeing none, may I have a motion, please, to receive Jan's presentation? Councillor Farr, Councillor Partridge, all those in favour? Thank you. I have to say this 3 times, and then we can close off the public meeting. Are there anyone else here from the public wishing to speak? Yes, ma'am. Come on down. Just move the microphone to suits you, and don't forget to sign in when you're finished. And can you introduce yourself, please?
My name is Amanda Dominichetti, and I am Michael's wife.
Thank you.
I wasn't going to say anything at this hearing, but there's a couple of things that have really hit my heart listening to the residents speak. Number one, the house at number 12 McDonald, before we moved it and completely renovated it, was full of mold and rot. So by moving that house, we have already improved the neighborhood by taking away a house that was actually unhealthy for both myself, my husband, and our 2 young children. When we moved to that court, our intention absolutely was, and still is, to live on that court and build the home that we would live in and really raise our children in, hopefully raise our grandchildren in. This isn't a whim. We certainly would not have put ourselves and our children through this process if it was. The other thing that I find very interesting is that the love of McDonald Court has been talked about, how neighbors help neighbors. We have certainly tried to do that with our neighbors. Within, I would say, 6 weeks of moving into that home, we were bullied and threatened by current neighbors into signing or asking us to sign a petition against the wishes of another resident. So I'm very angered by the fact that the love of the community and the residents is what's being cited here as a reason for this not to go through, when it was bullying, in my mind, that has probably helped names come onto that petition.
Okay.
And that's all I wanted to add into that.
Do you mind signing in, please? Is there any questions for Amanda this time? Seeing none, can I have a motion, please, to receive the presentation? Councillor Collins, Councillor Farr, all those in favour? Thank you. So I'm going to call this out 3 times. Is there anyone here from the public wishing to speak to this application at, let me get the address here, 12